Hesberg from the Iowa Coalition Against Domestic Violence, where if you're on this webinar, it's the Safe at Home webinar to learn about the Safe at Home Address Confidentiality Program. Joining us today is Christy Johnson from the Secretary of State Paul Pate's office. She was the Safe at Home Program Administrator and will be the lead presenter on this webinar. Unfortunately, Vicki Lynn from Iowa CASA cannot join us, but wanted us to give a shout out to the Iowa CASA advocates who are on the call, and Deb from ICADVA is also joining us. The main instruction we have, we'll get started right away, is just that if you have questions during the presentation, type them into the chat box and we will monitor them, and we can politely interrupt Christy if it's an urgent question, or if there's just a few of them, we can wait till the end of the presentation. I think we'll get started. This webinar will be recorded for your colleagues who may not have been able to join us today. Thanks again, Christy, for being here, and we'll let you take it away.
All right, thank you, Laura, and thank you for attending. If you do have those questions, please do interrupt me if they are on topic. If not, we will have quite a bit of time at the end to answer any of those questions. Or if you have suggestions for the program, this is a new program, and it's a program that's unlike any program that's been in the Secretary of State's office. So we do welcome any and all suggestions. So let's get started. All right, so we'll just start with a brief overview of what Safe at Home is. It's an address confidentiality program that helps victims of domestic abuse, sexual assault, trafficking, and other violent crimes become survivors with the following services: a substitute address, a mail forwarding service, and confidential voter registration and absentee voting. It's also important to know what Safe at Home is not. It's not a witness protection program. We're not able to redact previous records, and we're not able to shield participants from legal obligations such as custody disputes. And so at this point, it's important to know that we're not able to redact any previous records. So participants and applicants have to have recently relocated in order for this program to be effective, because if they've already gotten a driver's license, or they've already enrolled their children into school, they've already registered to vote, their records and their address are already public. So we can't take those back, and we can't hide those records. So they have to have recently relocated. They can't have put their address on any kind of public record whatsoever. So they do have to have recently moved. And that's something that's important to know and to tell the applicant at the time that they are applying. Who can apply? Any adult victim or survivor of domestic violence, sexual assault, trafficking, or stalking, any family member living in the same home with victim, any minor child or children, or an incapacitated person who is in fear of their safety can apply for Safe at Home. They do have to have taken some kind of legal action against the offender. This is written in the bill that they have to have taken some kind of legal action against their offender, and they do have to be an Iowa resident. On the application that I'll show you in a bit, we do have them initial that they have taken some kind of legal action against their offender, but we are taking this at face value, and I'll go over that a little bit further once we get to the application. But this is written in the bill this way. All right, and here's where your part comes in. How does an applicant or a survivor apply for Safe at Home? We will have the applications available on our website, and then we will have application assistance across the state through Iowa CASA and ICAVDA. And then the Attorney General's office will also be helping us with applications. And the applications, since they are online, we will be getting help with passing those applications out through other state agencies such as DHS and anybody else who has contact with these survivors of abuse across the state. So the main part where we're going to have these applications will be online, so anybody who comes into contact with these survivors will have access to them. But we are really looking forward to our partnership with both Iowa CASA and ICAVDA to have this partnership to get the word out about Safe at Home and to get these applicants into the program so that they can become active citizens. So that is important. Our website is safeathome.iowa.gov, and we will start having applications available in mid-December. They can come into our office. We'll start processing them in mid-December once they start coming into our office, but we cannot start using that designated address, mail forwarding service, and the voter registration until January 1st when the program goes live. Okay, so how will people know if a participant is a participant in the program? We will give them a verification card, and you can also call Safe at Home to verify that they are a participant. Their address is confidential, their district is confidential, and all other information about the participant is confidential. But it is important for the participant to know that their participation within the program is not confidential. So anybody who calls our program to ask if they are a participant in the program, we can tell them yes, they are a participant, or no, they're not a participant. So that is important for the participant to know, is that we will be able to verify yes or no, they are or not a participant in Safe at Home. And here's the application. Anything with an asterisk on or in the box is required. And I apologize, it looks pretty small on my screen. And it is a handout that you can download a PDF of as well. But anything with an asterisk is required by law, by House File 585. So we do have to have the full legal name, the date of birth, the phone number is really important. And with that phone number, we do have to have the area code. So as you're filling that out, make sure that we do have the full phone number, because we will have people from all over the state. And if they're coming from out of state, we do have other states that we're working with that, you know, they have participants who are moving from California into Missouri, or from other states moving into their state to get away from their offender. So please make sure that as you have applicants coming into your offices, that you do have them fill out the entirety of the application and make sure that we do have that area code. One thing that I do want to mention is that if you have multiple adults applying within the same household, they do have to fill out their own application. The reasoning behind that is that for the voter registration portion of the program, they have to have their own identification numbers for that. So that's why each adult has to have their own application number. They will have the same apartment number, so they will have their mail going to the same place. And I know that that will take a little bit of extra time, but they do have to have their own application for that if they're over the age of 18. Now, if somebody is a dependent of an adult, and they're like, if they're 17, they can go ahead and still be a dependent. But if they're at the 17.5 age range and they want to register to vote, they do need to fill out their own application. So we can't have multiple voters on one application, and that's very important. And that's just how the voter registration part is in our database. Let's see.
We have one question so far, if you want to take the question. One question on the chat is asking about, sort of going back a little bit to a question about the public records, and asking if that would apply to things like leases and utility bills.
Because they've already got it.
I think if that, so like if they have a previous address out there for a lease or utility bill, because they wouldn't change.
I think they've already moved and they've got their utility bills already. I don't believe utility bills are public record, but we are still working with the utility companies to see what is public record and what's not public record, to work with them to see what is and isn't public record. So I will get more information to you with the utility companies, because we are familiar with state agencies, county offices, and government agencies, but utility companies all work a little differently. So we are working with those utility companies.
Perfect.
It's a good question.
So it sounds like there might be more information coming on the
Yes.
utility bill question.
Yes, and it's a good point to bring up right now. On our website, there is a newsletter update sign up, and we are going to be shooting out updates as they come. So once we find out more information with those utility companies and how to handle those utility companies, we will send out that information that way. So go ahead and go onto our website and sign up for those updates. So as we get those updates, we'll send those out. Okay? All right. So back to the application. The only things that need to be filled out on this application will be in the purple boxes here. And this will be the enrollment form as well as the renewal form. The applicant will be in the program for a total of 4 years. And then they will get a notification from us saying that your time in the program is about to expire. And they do have the option of renewing their time in the program, or they can graduate from the program. It's their choice, but they do have that option. But it is the exact same form. It's not a different form. But let's see, what else? All right, so that is the first form. But anything with an asterisk on it is required, which is majority of the information. And then here's that back page that I was talking to you about earlier. Everything comes basically straight from the bill, just so that we, can have it all covered because it is required. We're just asking that they initial this so that we can take it at face value. And so and that's exactly what we're going to say when they call us and they ask us, well, we have talked to the coalitions, or we sought help from the coalitions, or we sought help with the AG's office. We're going to tell them, we're not going to say, no, that doesn't count as, legal action. We're not going to say, yes, it does. We're going to say, read the statement, initial it. We're going to take it at face value. That's all we can do. We want to include everybody that we can in the program, and that is what we're going to say. Because we want to include everybody possible in this program. And that's what we would ask that you would say as well. Just tell them that we want to include everybody possible. So if they feel like they sought help and they work to get help to protect themselves against the offender, initial it and go ahead and fill it out and send it in. But every statement here was taken straight from the bill. Majority of the statements here were taken straight from the bill, and then the additional ones were liability statements for our office. And then we just need that signature at the bottom. The signature at the bottom does need to be a signature, a hand signature. It can't be one that they do on the computer. It does need to be an actual signature.
So another clarifying question here. Do they need to, with the signature, and then do they need to initial next to in each of those boxes? Is that what the...
Yep, so they need to initial in each of the boxes, and then they do need to have a wet signature on the bottom. And I do believe we're going to have the whole form fillable online, including the initials, and then the only thing that we actually need them to fill out with a pen will be that signature. Okay, are there any other questions about the application?
And just a reminder, if you have questions about the application, just because of the large number of folks on the webinar, we're asking you to please submit the questions via the chat box.
All right. Do you two have any questions? All right. It's a very straightforward, easy application. So hopefully there aren't too many questions, but if you come up with questions, please let me know. All right, so the designated address will appear on anywhere that an address should appear or is required by law. It will be required. Public and private entities are required to use this designated address. So it'll appear on driver's license, non-operator IDs, student records, employment records, library cards. Anywhere that a participant is required to use an address, they can use this designated address. This address will be a street address and a P.O. box. So in the cases where they can't use a P.O. box, they will have a street address to use, And in those cases where they need a mailing address, they can use that P.O. box. So they will have a combination of a street address and a P.O. box to use. So they won't have any of those situations where they will have a P.O. box where they can, where you know, the agency only takes a street address. So we have worked with the post office, and they will have that street address to use. And we should be releasing that address relatively soon. So we're very excited about that, but they do have a street address and P.O. box. Okay, so there are situations where a participant can be terminated from the program. For instance, if they move and they don't notify us and we can't get a hold of them to get their new address, they can be terminated from the program. If somebody changes their name and they don't notify us and we can't get a hold of them, they can be terminated from the program. There's different instances where they can be terminated. If they're served and we send them their certified mail and they reject it, they can be terminated. There are just different instances where they can be terminated. In these instances, we've been asked several different times if the agencies, the coalitions, and different people that they are working with, if they will be notified. And the answer is no. We don't know what agencies and organizations each participant is working with. So if you are working with a participant and you want to know if they are still a participant in Safe at Home, there are two different ways that you would know. The first is if you send them mail, and they're no longer a participant, we would return to sender. So that would be your indication that they're no longer in the program. For any other reason, if you think that they're no longer a Safe at Home participant, you can always call us and we can tell you, yes, they are a participant, or no, they're no longer a participant. But we will not be notifying all the organizations when a participant is terminated from the program. I do want to tell you, though, at this point that if for any reason, if a participant moves and they have mail returned to us, or they change their name, or for any reason, if there comes an instance where we do have a reason that we can terminate a participant, we will do everything that we can to notify the participant and see what's going on before we take those steps to terminate the program or the participant from the program. We will never terminate the participants before we try to notify them. Okay. So the substitute address. This is an address that will be assigned by Safe at Home. Every participant will have the same address. The only difference will be between participants is that they'll have a lot number or an apartment number. And that the only reason why they'll have this is in case they have, in case we have two participants with the same name, so that we can make sure that they get their own mail. So if you are sending mail to a participant, please make sure that you include that lot or apartment number, just in case we do have participants with the same name. At the beginning or early stages of the program, we're not anticipating that this will happen, but later on in the program, we probably will come across this. So that lot or apartment number is very, very important. Their actual address will only be known by Safe at Home. It won't be known by the DOT or even the Department of Safety. And then this will be a combination of a street address and a P.O. box. One indicator for the Safe at Home address will be that it will be a 50319 zip code. The 50319 zip code is a zip code that's only used by state buildings. So that's the zip code for the state capitol, Lucas Building, and just the Capitol complex. So that's one indicator for that street address. So if you come across an address that has that zip code and it's being used as a residential address, it's a Safe at Home address.
So this has inspired another question based on the address. How can participants use the address for a library card if it's a Des Moines address and they're not so then they wouldn't show up as a Des Moines resident?
Right. So in those cases where the participant has to live within the district in order to receive the services of that district, they will have a Polk County address or a Des Moines address. And in that case, the librarian or the school will have to notify Safe at Home. to verify that they live within that district. And that can't be done by a phone call. It has to be written out and sent to us via email or by the United States Postal Service, and it has to be done on an official letterhead. We know that this is going to slow the process down slightly, but if the participant is sitting and waiting, we ask that they call us and tell us, you know, we have a request coming and we're emailing it. It's on the official letterhead, it's coming from the principal, and we just need to know that this person's child lives in the school district of Lenox, or, you know, this school district. And we'll say, okay, so I will go ahead and watch for the email to come through. I'll look, see where they actually live, and then I will call them back, tell them, yes, this person's child does live within this school district, and then give them the okay to go ahead and register their student into that school district, or tell them, no, they actually don't live in that school district. Can I talk, you know, and then I'll communicate with the participant and tell them, you actually live in this school district that's right down the street. And then we'll work it out that way. But we'll have to work with libraries, we'll have to work with schools and all these other districts at the county level, city level, in order to have those services provided to the participants, because it is the Des Moines address.
Christy, this is Laura. That reminded me of a question I had that I should ask now. So how important is it for them to keep those cards?
It is very important to keep those cards. We are doing all the outreach that we can for the counties, the cities, and all of the different agencies possible to let them know what Safe at Home is. But that card will explain slightly what the program is, and it will also have our contact information on it. So if there's any question of what the program is, then they can easily reach us and ask us what the program is. And so it will also prove that the participant is a participant in the program. So it is very important that the participant keeps those verification cards on them at all times.
And if they lose a card, or they,
right,
you know, for our advocates, sometimes they might not even, they need to plea and not get their belongings. Or
right. Yep. If they lose their card, have them contact us, and then we will send them a new card right away.
Thank you.
Because that is a very important tool for them. Okay. All right. Okay, so the mail forwarding service, all participants' mail will be sent to the Safe at Home office, and then we will forward it to participants. Safe at Home can only forward the first class mail, legal mail, and then prescriptions and government packages. We won't be forwarding any other packages. We've talked to other states, and this is just the safest way for us to do it. We can't scan the packages and make sure that they're not coming from the offender. We can't make sure that there's only safe packages. So we are only forwarding packages that are prescriptions and that are coming from the government. If they, at Christmas time, if their family wants to send them Christmas packages, or if, you know, they want to order something offline, in our welcome packet, we'll have recommendations that we found from other states, but they'll have to do it at their own risk, because we are not going to be able to forward those. And like I said, we will not be able to stop mail coming from the offender. We're only a mail forwarding service, so we will not be able to stop that mail. So when you do talk to the applicant, make sure that they are aware of that we will not be able to go through mail and stop mail coming from certain people. So if their offender does know what their home address is, they will still be able to get that mail from them. Also, it is important for everybody to know that since the mail is coming to our office and then being forwarded to participants, that there will be a mail delay. We are planning on sending the mail out the same day that it comes into our office. So we are hoping to make that delay as short as possible. Talking to the other states, they have said that the mail has been delayed up to 5 business days if you get it out on the same day. So that's what we've been telling people, is 5 days. Around the holidays, it can be up to 7 business days. So we are saying 5 to 7 business days. Legal mail, if you are going to be sending any legal mail to a participant and there is some kind of action that is required of the participant right away within 2 weeks, I would recommend that you call the participant right away because of that delay and let them know what that action is. So if they have a court date or if they need to sign something, do make sure that they are aware of it because of that mail delay. Secretary of State's office will serve as the agent of service for participants. If you're mailing that, you would just mail it to the P.O. box or the designated address. If you're going to serve them in person, the Secretary of State's office will be the one to sign for that. So you would send it to our Lucas office building. And that address is 321 East 12th Street. And that's, you can just look that up online, or you can call me and ask me. And then we will forward that by certified mail. And with service of process, they do not get any extended time because they're a participant of Safe at Home. So that is important to know. But service of process is completed at the time that the participant receives service, not when we receive service. Okay. Another question that you might receive from applicants is if they can buy a house or any other kind of property with Safe at Home, and the answer is no. Safe at Home does not cover real estate. The way that we are going to handle this is that we provide information on LLCs and trusts, and that's how we're going to recommend the purchasing of property. Okay, another helpful information, like I said earlier, the enrollment period is 4 years with the renewal option, and the expiration date will be on that ID card. The program is not for everybody. Applicants must have relocated recently for it to be effective. And that's just simply because we can't erase public records that are already in existence. And if their offender already knows where they live, it's definitely not going to be effective.
So one more question,
yep.
Going back to the packages for a minute. So to clarify, not all mail is forwarded. If they receive packages purchased online and they use this address, what happens to those packages? Are they returned to sender? Or?
They are returned to sender, and we will notify the participant that, you know, their package from Amazon was returned to sender because we cannot forward those packages on. So they will be notified that it was returned to sender and the reasoning behind it. And when they sign up for Safe at Home, we will let them know that we cannot forward on those packages. Any other questions? All right. Okay. Let's see. The Safe at Home address can be used as the work address as well as their home address. And the participant does have total control over their designated address and their confidential address. So if they do want to give their confidential address out to the coalition, or if they want to give their confidential address to order a pizza, or if they do want to order something from Amazon and use their confidential address to get those packages at home, they can do that. They do have total control over their address. If we find out that they are ordering packages online and having them delivered to their home, that's not means to terminate their participation in the program. They do have total control over both addresses. It's important for them to know that the more that they use their designated address, the safer they will be. So that is just one important fact. So they do have total control over it. This is our timeline. Our website did go live in August. We do have brochures available, and they are slowly appearing in county courthouses. So if you see those, good. We're currently developing the forms. As you saw, we do have our application. We're researching and visiting other states who have successful and similar programs as ours. And application submissions will begin mid-December. And then our program does go into effect January 1st of 2016. And then here's our website. So please do visit it, see what's available online. Our forms are not available quite yet. It will be available under the Forms tab, and we will have all forms available online. And we will make those available in mid-December. We just don't want to cause confusion by making them available any earlier and having those come into the office any sooner than when we can take them. And then here's the contact information for myself and for Carol Olson. I'm the main person for the program, but Carol Olson is our elections deputy, and she's working very closely with the program as well. So if I'm out of the office or you can't get a hold of me, please do feel free to contact Carol. And then we do have a Safe at Home email address as well. If you just have a basic question, either one of us can answer that. So it's that would probably be the quickest way. But please do feel free to give one of us a call or to email either one of us. All right, and we will take questions now.
Christy, this is Laura again. Another question for people or entities that want to verify their participation. Should they use the 515-725 SAFE number to call you?
Yes, that will be the easiest phone number to get a hold of me. If you do the 281-0145, they'll transfer you to the 725 SAFE number. But if you do call the 725 SAFE and I don't answer because I've stepped away from my desk, do call the other phone number, and they will transfer you over to Carol if she does not answer the phone, and somebody will get a hold of you right away to get that verification for you.
And if our advocates help a victim fill out an application on site, they sign it and then it needs to be mailed, snail mail too. Okay.
Yep. Definitely. We do have to have that wet signature on the application, so we do have to have it by the post office. Okay. Yep.
Other questions? All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much for participating. And this webinar will be recorded and will be posted shortly. And if other questions come up, just give us a call or email. And encourage you to sign up for Christy's newsletter, because that'll be a good way to get updates, real-time updates.
Yes.
And just a reminder, if you missed part of this webinar and you would like to do it again live, we're doing a two show day here, so come back and join us this afternoon. If you think of questions in the meantime, come back and we're happy to answer questions then. I'm actually seeing a question come in now.
Right. How
do we sign up for the newsletter?
The newsletter sign up is on our website. It's safeathome.iowa.gov. So it's right here under the Coalition Against Sexual Assault button, right here where it says sign up for our newsletter.
Excellent. And with that, we will thank you very much. And what time is the second webinar?
1 o'clock.
At 1 o'clock. So we'll be available then, and thank you all very much. Have a great day.